I explained how this event happened. So there's a WhatsApp group, and we are 5 women, and we've known each other, for a while. And then Nakesa came and she was like, guys, I need to do this event. I need this. In 30 minutes, she had her event, she was done, she had her speakers and stuff. And we always encourage everyone, don't look for new networks. You already have networks of people you trust and talk to. I know I hate WhatsApp groups, but some WhatsApp groups are better than others, especially if they get you to do things that you're afraid of. For example, I hate public speaking. I'm just saying. I get really nervous, but because these people didn't give me a chance to say no, here I am. So you need such women in your lives, right? So Mary is part of that group. Maureen, who was here and she emceed at the last event, is part of that group, and there are 2 other members. So we told Mary, on Wednesday you come? Thanks for your support. And here she is. So she's going to collect your questions. The little white slips I gave you, please give them to her. And now, after you're done chewing, but they all look like this. After you're done eating, we're going to have elevator pitches. So what happened in the last 2 sessions, we did impromptu elevator pitches, and we realized, hey, Kenyans can tell stories. So you're given 1 minute, then you start. In 1998, when I graduated from high school, I wanted to be a tax consultant, but now I'm selling cakes. We need to learn to do that in 1 minute. So Mary has graciously trained the people who are going to present, and we'll send to you on Slack the pointers that she gave, and so that you can learn how to sell your business. So we're going to have Mama Zazas of Fatma Mama Zazas, Christine of Kokiko Granola, Juliet of Be Happy Raw Honey, and Wangeshi of the Flavored Coffee and Honey by Nuts and Honey. They're going to present to us. But before that, so you know me, I love you guys with all my heart. So you know those 2 groups of ours that we had formed, eh? I thought it was for free. M&Ms are not for free, they're expensive. I need someone from each group, 1 person, to come and tell me who you've met, just 1 person you've met, and how you think you can continue that relationship in terms of networking business. How are you going to help each other? Just tell us a very short, quick story of who you met, why you think you've connected. Yay. See? Okay, so this is Team Kerea. Yeah, you're orange and red. So someone from blue and green. I'll give you an M&M. Come in front. From team brown and yellow. An M&M and a hug. M&M and a glass of wine. See your lives. Give me, just come. But it's just come. An M&M. Just. Oh yeah, actually, yeah, you are. Okay, cool. Come. And then new team. If you've not eaten an M&M today, I asked you to sit on this side. I won't mention names, but you're wearing a bright red jacket. Yeah, please, if you haven't eaten an M&M, I'll give you an M&M, but I want you to sit together there. I need you to network with 1 or 2 people, find out their name, what they do, how you can help them. If they are facing a specific challenge in their business, how can you help them? I need you to walk out of here with 2 contacts, please. Eh? So if you haven't eaten an M&M, endo ketipale. Or ask the person next to you if they've eaten an M&M, then you can network. Oh, you're all here.
Hi. Yeah, my name is Ziwe. I'm team yellow-brown. Yeah, the lovely lady there is Eunice. Yeah, Eunice, her business is My Biz Marketer. She's digital media, digital marketing. The reason why I like her business is because I need that in my business. I make jewelry and design clothes, and I'm whack at it, so I need somebody like her. I'm also with Purity. Yes. Purity works with Badilika teens. I love the work she does because apart from designing, one of the things I'd like to do is empower young people to become self-sufficient. So I hope to work with her on that. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Lisa, and I met Fatma And the reason why I think we can work together is I work for My Biz Marketer, and so you've heard we do digital advertising. So with Fatma, with her business, I was pitching to her and talking to her about how we can expand her online platform and how we can see how the business can grow for her, which in turn is good for us.
So you're going to think this was rigged because she's talked to My Biz, she was My Biz, and I'm My Biz. So even if you separated us, it didn't work. So my name is Noreen, and I spoke to two lovely ladies, Tay, who's got the most funky name, and a lovely Jane. Jane owns a kindergarten school in Roiro. She's looking to expand. So expanding, even if it's inside getting money, who could she be inside the online presence that has maybe a venture capitalist interested? And for Tay, she's struggling with, it is marketing, but because her products were on the shelf in Nakumat, how can she pivot to some other place? Does it have to be online? Can it be online? Can she now talk to another supermarket? Those guys were taking over the premises that Nakumat has given up, allegedly. So, so who could we be as marketers for her to get presence that she's not just stuck with being on the shelf, right? Thanks.
Oh, thank you, ladies. Here's your eminent. What? Yeah, you do your taxation on your people. I don't know. That is none of my business. I'll take your names. Team, we haven't had Eminems. I'll give you Eminems. But please network and also come and tell us. The ladies who presented just now, and Nyakio, who came very early. Aki Nyakio, I'm sorry, your name is just going to be. The Liz and Lydia have graciously offered to give 1 and 2 hours of group consultation. So you free. So yeah, you can meet as a group. I'll give her your names and your contacts. You can give that to me after. You can meet Lydia as a group for 1 or 2 hours, and you can also meet Liz for 1 or 2 hours. So group Amjakula Eminem, Jikakamwe. There's a benefit coming. So we're going to start with. So have you given Mary the questions? Have you written the questions? Have you finished eating? You guys have many problems. There's water at the back. If you want water, there's water. Please write down your questions. So we wanted to just go through them really quickly. While you guys are giving them, our next session will be the first week of December. We are looking at the dates 6th or 7th. We want to talk about investor relations. We hope to get someone from HIVA to come and talk to us about how you get investors. And once you get them, you know you're getting into a financial marriage. So how do you relate with them beyond the money? The second conversation we want to have is about mindful money matters. And the reason we want to have it is before you go on holiday and spend all your profit for 2017, how can you think mindfully about your money? And then in early January, we want to talk about people, plans, and PR. So we want to talk about the HR aspect, building capacity. We want to talk about creating a strategy. And we want to talk about public relations. Please, repeat after me. Social media is not public relations. They're not even relatives, they're not even friends, you know. So we really need to talk about that. At the end of January, that will be our installment in this series. And in the first quarter of 2018, we want to have an end of series workshop. So if you've come for all the sessions, all those topics will be put into a workshop, and you'll get more information from the people. So stay tuned for that. All right, may I have, Liz, have you finished your tea? Okay, come in front. Lydia, you finished? Okay, so come in front. Okay. Aki, whose handwriting is this? It's so tiny. Oh, yes. So while they're getting ready, now we're going to do the pitches. I'm going to call Fatma of Mama Zaza's.
Good morning. Is it still morning? So my name is Fatma. and I'm committed to raising the bar for baked treats and sweet treats in Nairobi. My company, Mama Zaza's, was founded a year ago with my 8-year-old daughter. We wanted to share the feeling of biting into thoughtfully packaged, delicious treats with fellow Kenyans. We use high-quality ingredients, make our treats in small batches, and we deliver right to your doorstep. You can buy our online treats. You can buy our treats from our online bake shop, www.mamazazas.com.
Ami only asked you to smile and clap. Let's clap again. She just... Hi, everyone. Hi. My name is Christine. I run a breakfast cereal company under the name Kukiko. I know many people say, what is Kukiko? So Kukiko simply means the cook is in. So we make granola and... Sorry. We make granola, and granola is basically oats, pumpkin seeds, sunflower seeds, a bit of raisins, and desiccated coconut. These ingredients, I can tell you, are proven to energize your day. So I'd encourage you to start by trying a sample. My table is right there. You can find us at Zucchini, you can find us at Healthy You, or you can find us online. We can deliver right to your doorstep. Thank you. Thank you. Juliet? And then Wangeshi, you approach the bench.
Hi, my name is Juliet, and I sell honey. The idea behind our honey was we wanted to let people know about the benefits of honey in terms of well-being. And we thought of going with happiness because happiness is a state of well-being. So that is why our honey is Be Happy Honey. It's sourced from Kisii. It's raw forest honey. And the small jar goes for 400 shillings. We have a Be Very Happy jar that goes for 800 shillings. We deliver at your doorstep.
And they deliver 2 of them. They landed 2 of them on my doorstep. Bogov.
Good morning, everybody. I am passionate about food, if you can't tell. I am passionate about creativity, and I am passionate about retiring early. So, 2 months ago, I thought at my age I would be launching a new product, which I did. I launched a product of flavored coffee, and 3 weeks later, I launched a product of flavored honey. They're both the first of its kind in East Africa. I am proud of it and what it has accomplished in the last 2 months. And you can get our products on thepicnickikapu.com, and we deliver right to your doorstep. In the next month or so, we will be in the supermarkets, we hope. And my name is Wageshi Kamau. I am a gourmet concierge with the Picnic Kikapu.
Okay, now clap again. There's like a nice clap coming from here. All right, so let's get into the panel session. It's 11, okay, we have 45 minutes. Right, if you hadn't come in the morning, today we were discussing IP law and taxation. Liz Lenjo was talking to us about IP law. And, you know, I asked the person next to you if they came early, if they can give you their notes. And Lydia was talking about taxation, and I've realized a lot of questions are taxation related. So let me start with Liz. A lot of people are asking, how do you trademark, and how much does it cost, and how long does it last? Yep.
So for the benefit of those who are a little late, I just basically said that intellectual property law is the area of law that helps you protect the expression of your ideas. Yeah, so intellectual property is now equal to proprietary rights, which is equal to you owning a piece of land, same thing. So one thing I had not mentioned is the process of registration. For example, like copyright, copyright is automatic. The minute you create your script or you make that drawing, it's automatic. However, registration is important because of one thing. We all went to school. Some of us have been exposed to the same, circumstances or ideas and whatnot, yeah? So how do you prove that you are the first one to, create a script for a story or draw some cartoon or, whatever it is that you have created that would be eligible for copyright protection? Registration. So for registration of copyright, you go to Kenya Copyright Board. Copyright lasts for your full lifetime plus 50 years after death. So it's always important that you have a good paper trail, because what will happen is, should your time come to an end on this earth, your next of kin will benefit, yeah? So you need such documentation to be in place. So if you're a musician, for all the music that you ever created, you have all your licenses or whatever in place. If it's a split sheet, there's some certain documents for each, what sort of area you would be in business. So for trademarks, trademarks are registered at the Kenya Industrial Property Institute, KIPI. It's somewhere in South Sea. I would recommend you go through a lawyer, because what happens, when you come to me, you'll tell me what area of business you're in. You say, Liz, I sell honey and I do coffee and blah, blah, blah. So when you're protecting a trademark, we will have what is called a NICE classification. It's a list of goods and services in which you will protect your brand. So for example, like iHub, they do trainings and whatnot. They would protect the name iHub under class 41 for entertainment and training opportunities. And then should they decide that they also do software production or whatever, there's a specific class for that, I think class 25. So that would be the first key. If you protect in the wrong class, my friend, you're not protected. So if, let's say iHub has protected only in events, and then someone comes and creates iHub software for incubators or whatever, and they are not protected in that, they cannot start claiming that they own iHub for that particular class. So when you're envisioning a business, it's always advisable that if maybe today I'm just selling shoes, but tomorrow I'll be selling bags, at the time of registration, my recommendation is you register the relevant classes at that time. Also because the amendment process can become a bit tedious, yeah? And we're talking about government entities, yeah? If you do it alone, it will be at your own peril, because ideally with a lawyer it will take 6 months, the registration process. If you do it by yourself, we're talking 12 to 18 months, and then there are a few things that need to happen, like what we call a disclaimer. If you're going to use say Be Happy Honey, they would have to disclaim the use of Be Happy, because it's not an ingenious name, it's the normal English that we use, common phrases. But if you have come up with a new name like Kukiko, the way she's done it, she can get exclusive use. She would not have to disclaim over that use. A trademark lasts for 10 years, and then it's renewable, so it can last up to eternity, as long as on the 9th year you have lodged your application to renew.
How much is it relatively for copyright or trademark?
So for copyright, if you do it by yourself directly at Jacobo, it will cost you about 1,500. The challenge of you doing it yourself is, the way I said, copyright does not give protection to concept. So an IP lawyer will help you see whether what you are trying to register is indeed copyrightable, or if it's just a concept, how we tweak it to make it a proper copyright-worthy property, yeah? Because what would happen is if we go to court and someone says, oh, but that's just a concept, you're done, you see? So like, for example, our law firm is a niche law firm. It's just a concept of specialization. I can't protect that, yeah? So it's very important that you do that. If you do it with a lawyer, it's between 10K to maybe 20K. And then for the trademark registration, there's the statutory fees and legal fees. So the legal fees under the ARO, 42,000 legal fees is the minimum. The ARO is Advocates Remuneration Order. So as lawyers, we are what should I say? We are compelled to follow the ARO. So if a lawyer charges you anything less than that, also yourself, you have to ask yourself 2 questions. Are they competent? Or are they just trying to make a quick buck? Because what happens is, if we go under the ARO, guess what? My license is at risk. So we always tell people, you know what? If you can't pay the full amount talk to your lawyer about payment plans. Yeah. So it's not that it's paid up, full payment upon the process begins, because it takes 6 months. So you put in a down payment. By the time we go through what is called the advertisement stage, where your mark is advertised on the Kipi journal, that's when now maybe you can put in the last payment. Just something to touch on the advertisement bit of a trademark. What happens is your mark will be put out there and say so and so is trying to register this mark. Anyone with objections needs to raise it. I had raised the issue of something like a phonetically similar trademark. So if you already had your own trademark registered and then someone else's trademark seems to sound like yours and you're like in the same area of business, you need to be, very proactive and make sure that you sort of quash that registration before it happens. Because once it happens, then now that's another process altogether to now get it expunged. Yeah. So totally, if you were to go to a lawyer for one class alone, registration, we're talking about 72,000, which is inclusive legal fees, statutory fees, and VAT, thereabouts, for one class.
Liz is my lawyer, so I can attest that I paid over a period of time, and you just set aside an amount of, you know how much you need to pay. So you set aside an amount of money. By the time she's handing you a certificate, which was like a year later, roughly.
That's when Kipi was having a high turnover.
Okay, I love the 1 year. Okay, but now if it's shorter, but it's something you can budget for, and we'll also discuss budgets in Mindful Money. Okay, hold on. Are you asking on that? Okay. But while the microphone is roving, how does trademark and copyright translate into the international market?
Okay, so that's a smart question. So generally, intellectual property is territorial, yeah? So you will only be protected in the area in which you have registered and you're commercializing. So for example, if, let's say you're in textiles, yeah? And you decide you're producing clothes in China, yeah? It's important that you register any of your designs if they're, they're genuine designs, they're fresh, it's just yours, like they're not in the market. So yeah, fashion is a very interesting place. But if your designs, like say you do jewelry, they look a certain way, a certain shape, and a combination of different elements, it's important that you register an industrial design there and an industrial design in Kenya, number one. So if the brand name as well, the same thing. Register the brand name in China as a trademark, and here in Kenya the same. I'll give you an example of iPhone. So when iPhone started, they did not think in their minds that they would go into making bags for phones and laptops or iPads or whatever it is. They didn't think about that. So, and it was at that point when now people are like, I think my screen will break. Let me go and get someone to make leather stuff. And where leather or plastic things, where are they mostly made? In China. So a Chinese company registered iPhone as a trademark in the class of leather, bags, goods, plastic, blah, blah, blah. So iPhone is like, hey, what are these people doing? iPhone is like a big brand. So they go to China, and they're told, oh, by the way, you guys only registered for mobile devices. So as far as bags are concerned, cheers, let's talk partnership. So, so that's what generally would happen. So in the same spirit, when you register a trademark especially, you have the strength to do what we call franchising. So like for the people in academia, you have a school, you need a trademark. It's one of the things also that sort of strengthen your portfolio to be, to get into business with investors. When you have a brand, you're able to say, people come to my brand because they know it's, it's legit. I know I'm going to, Hairpolitan because it's Wamboi. I advertise with Hairpolitan, or I do blah, 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 So you can now put an attachment, a value to that brand. Yeah.
Yes, your question. Wait, I hope.
So it's generally an IP question. So I run a training course, but I customize it for the various companies, for the various customers that I encounter. So how can I protect that, given that it changes? It's a basic course, but it changes each time I deliver it.
So like for you, it would be more of a contractual element. So we're talking about non-disclosure agreements. An NDA would also help you protect yourself from any of your attendees trying to compete with you and use your material to compete with you. Yeah. So that's what you would need. And it's very important that it's drafted by a lawyer. We've had this common practice where people go to lawyer Google See, we love lawyer Google. Ha! We have seen contracts, and you just want to cry. Sometimes are not even in the Kenyan jurisdiction. Someone has used terms in US law. I'm like, dude, how do I help you? Please let her know. Something as mundane as a non-disclosure agreement can make or break your business. And if we go to court, it will work against you. You decided, oh, Google non-disclosure agreement template. Yay! You go for a pitch meeting and you give them. You have no idea what you really gave them. You just know it says non-disclosure agreement. But there are specific terms that a lawyer would be able to coin for you that are relevant to your business, that anticipate what could happen in such a scenario like training. Yeah.
So if you're training many people, do they all sign a non-disclosure agreement? Or?
Yes.
Oh, seriously?
Yeah, so you have it in duplicate.
I'm sending
they have one.
You all a non-disclosure.
So it's important they're in duplicate, they have their copy, and you remain with your copy, all fully signed.
Every participant?
Yes, every participant.
Oh. And so that's a separate agreement from the contract that I've signed with the company?
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, because you see there's the company liability and then there's the individual liability. Okay. So you want to be able to say, oh, Liz, you did X, Y, and Z. I have an NDA, you're doing X, Y, and Z, you owe me money.
Cool.
Yeah.
Can we discuss this a little more after?
Sure.
You should have volunteered for the free session. Please pass the microphone. It'll come.
Thank you both. That was a very, very informational morning. I've learned a lot. My name is Adero. I'm working on an app. I've just gotten started on it. So my question is, you mentioned that you would have to register your trademark in every single country.
Yes, countries, preferably countries of commercialization. So it doesn't make sense for you to register in China and you have no plan of commercializing in China.
So for a global app like maybe Tinder or Facebook, are you saying they registered in every single country?
Yes, they have.
Wow.
Every single country.
Okay, and then my follow-up question is, at what point is it a good time to register a trademark? Should it be right from when you have the idea, or is there a point?
It's best when you have conceptualized the idea from the beginning, because when you're doing even your brand development, you've sort of studied your competitors, you've sort of done, a market analysis to understand what your audience wants, what resonates well with your audience. So if you've done that, you're in a very good place to sort of protect it from the beginning. You also don't want to be in a place where you're halfway into commercialization, then guess what? You're slapped with a cease and desist and someone says, oh, your brand sounds like Coca-Cola and we are a well-known mark internationally. Stop using your brand. What does that mean? It means your audience now will be like, what does she call herself now? Now you're back to scratch. So it's always important that from the beginning, after you've done your due diligence, protect it from the beginning. And then what in turn it does is anyone else getting into the business who's likely to compete with you has to create an entirely unique brand. They can't sound or look similar to what you have created.
Great.
So my question is...
What's your name?
My name is Aman. So my question is, you were saying when the mark comes out in the KP publication, that from there as a business you need to be checking to see if there's similar marks to yours, and then you should squash it. So as a business owner, is that your responsibility to be constantly checking that magazine, or is that something that your lawyer will do for you and then alert you and let you know that there's an issue?
It can be either or, because the magazine is online on kipi.or.ke. So you could either do it personally because it's published at the end of every month, or you can have your lawyer do that for you.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what about if you have a mark registered in multiple places? Then you just need to be aware to be checking all of those different magazines.
Yes. Especially with the digital platform now, it's very easy. All you need to do is just Google your brand and see who is using it where and when. And that's why now it's very important to register from the beginning. Because if you fail to register, someone else can say, oh, I like that brand. Let's register a domain name. Let's do this. Let me have a Facebook page. But if you have the trademark, you have authority to tell someone, you know what, we can apply fast for someone where if you are not fast in time to register a domain name, we get you back a domain name that is relevant to your business because of likelihood of confusion, because of a trademark. If you don't have a trademark, you don't have any basis to do that. And the same thing also now in the online space, Facebook pages, someone tries to open a Facebook page that sounds and looks like your brand, you can be able to sort of, prevent them from doing that and stop them.
Okay, for Liz, two people coming together to work on an artistic piece, e.g. a collage or painting, who owns the IP and how is it split, especially if you're looking to sell the piece?
So remember I said when you start working together, you have to have that conversation. That's where it starts. Say, oh, Liz, let's paint a painting of, I don't know, a 3-headed elephant, yeah? And then we say, oh, let's do a collage or blah, 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 you know? And it's sort of a collective piece, depending on also each other's strengths, you know? If anyone is doing a bulk of the work, it's only fair you have that conversation and say, you know what? If it's a mold, it took 80% of the work, you own 80% of the shares of the IP into this thing. So if we were to sell this at an auction or whatever, this is how much we're going to make. It's important to have an agreement, and that agreement will address that. It will address what sort of opportunities that you want to take. You agree to, you know, showcasing at galleries and all these things. It has to be joint. It's almost like, it's the same thing as having, you know, owning land with your spouse. No one can sell the other without the other's consent. No one can build something without the other's consent. So it's the same thing with a piece of art or a script or whatever it is that you create together, software. You have to be on the same page. So that contract would envision all these other possible commercialization opportunities and reflect in the contract.
Okay, so if you see an internet company with a name like yours, can you still use the same name?
Depends if it's what we call a well-known mark. So like now, if you tried to register anything that has surf in it, surf something, even Kippy will tell you, hey, this sounds like related to Safaricom, because they've sort of acquired that well-known status here in Kenya. So the same thing with Coca-Cola, same thing with some of these international fashion brands, Givenchy, all these, you know, Gucci, Jimmy Choo, they will tell you, hey, this one, they are well-known marks. And what happens with the well-known marks, they've already registered in most of the countries globally, and they've registered not only in their class of relevance, but in all the other irrelevant classes. So even Gucci has a class on software, believe it or not, but it's because it's a well-informed strategy. Yeah.
Utility model is an IP or tax question?
It's a IP.
Oh, okay. I have no idea what that is. I wasn't listening. I was outside. I'm so sorry. What is the utility model? Does that make sense?
Yeah. So the utility model is what we call a petty patent. You remember I defined a patent. A patent is unique, never been done before. You are the guy who brought it to the world. So then what happens? Someone else says, that actually works, but if I add X, Y, and Z, it will be more efficient, yeah? So what happens first, by the time you're creating it, I get a license first from the original patent holder, and then together with that license, I can now register and be eligible for a utility model. So which means the patent holder, unless they get now your license for the petty patent to improve their product, they can't, you know, commercialize, and neither can you commercialize without their consent. So a utility model is basically a petty patent. It's an improvement to already existing patent.
Okay, before we get to you, for makeup artists, how can they protect their work, especially images? So this comes from something that happened on social media. There's a very well-known makeup artist in the natural hair circle, and so she went and did the bride's makeup. The bride hired her just to do her makeup, and then hired another makeup artist to do the other bridesmaids. So when our friend went to post her picture, the other makeup artist had posted the entire entourage. So now guys started going to our friend's page and calling her a thief for stealing the makeup of this other chick, and we're like, how does she protect, you know, that she did do the makeup? So how do makeup artists protect their images on social media?
Okay, so let's start first with where does the copyright lie? For the image, it would lie with the photographer. So now the makeup artist would have an arrangement with the photographer about how she would use the pictures for her business, yeah? So now you would sort of have like a simple release form telling the photographer, or the photographer agreeing to letting you use, you know, your images on X, Y, and Z. They might decide, you know what, you have to have my watermark as the photographer so that people know it's me, but they know makeup is by so and so. In this situation, because now this makeup artist had hired another makeup artist, they should have had that conversation and said, you know what, all the images pertaining to any makeup artistry will be on my page. Should you want some of them, I can give you for the ones that you did, and maybe a mention on my Facebook or whatever.
Okay.
Yeah.
So another document you've mentioned, today you've mentioned non-disclosure agreements, contracts, and release forms,
Yes.
which we don't take. I just like how guys smile at functions. And then you never ask, you're from where? You know, are you Standard Nation? And it's okay to tell someone, I don't know where you're from, so don't take my picture. You'll find your picture on a success card in 2018. You know, so also as your photo is being taken, you should either release by giving your name and perhaps contacts to the photographer taking. So that's something I see people doing at events, and I feel like...
Yeah, it's very important. And you see, the fact that you did not object, they will say, you know what, there was what we call acquiescence. You smiled at the camera, so you were aware, you know? So it's very important. Even for you guys, as you're rebranding your product, when you're using pages on Facebook, or pictures on Facebook, it's very important that you find the source of the picture. Who owns the copyright to the picture, you know? So go to you know, the website or whatever, because Google doesn't own any images. So you didn't get it from Google. Google doesn't give anyone pictures for free. Yeah, so if you use it, right click, you will see the information, or it will tell you which website, blah, 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 you go. If you don't have the budget for it, there's Creative Commons licensed pictures where they're just free for all. Have you heard of the term Creative Commons? Yeah, so you go to those websites and take those pictures. And even Creative Commons have those basic rules that they have. One of them is not to commercialize. So when you take a picture, you're probably just going to, you know, use it on your website, but you're not going to print out calendars and postcards to sell, because guess what? They will come after you, yeah? Creative Commons doesn't mean you can use it the way you feel like. But it's always important that you have those release forms. If it's your friend, pia urafiki uisha, yeah? So, like I said, we are buddies. Oh, I think you have a beautiful face. You can be the face of my product. Well and good. If she's doing it for free, well and good, but let it be documented, yeah.
Okay, final IP question?
I just wanted to clarify on what you told her, or rather answered to her. So, scenario, I am the business owner of my company, and then I have a bunch of my employees and working for me. So when someone brings the NDA to me, do I sign on behalf of my whole company, so my staff and everyone, or do I sign for the company and then every person under me still has to sign the same document? Is there a way that I can just do it for the whole company, so that by the time I'm telling my employers, listen, this is what we're working on and you're not allowed to go say it anywhere else? Or do I have to tell them, okay, come sit down, can you please sign this because you were in this meeting or you had this and this and this?
At the end of the day, you'll assess what you have to lose as a company. Because what would happen if you just sign it as by yourself and taking responsibility for all your employees, it means that if anyone was to go against Kageni, who's just seated next to you and she works for you, you know, then if Kageni does something against the NDA, it means it will be Kageni plus you. So you'll always be enjoined in any suits. It will be you plus Nani, you plus Nani. But where you say, you know what, at the end of the day, you also take individual responsibility. Should you do X, Y, and Z, Mimi Simo. That's up to you. Then you save yourself on legal costs. So you look at also what kind of, you know, sort of legal damages that would come into play for that to happen.
There's employee I was employed a long time ago, but I remember part of being employed in an advertising agency is you had to sign over the rights to the work you've done. They're owned by the company. And if you do anything similar for someone outside, so that's where your liability came. Immediately you signed, when you leave the agency, you can't say, oh, I did this work, that's the company you worked for. So there's also maybe a way you can, especially if you're doing many events, maybe you sign a one-off contract explaining to your employees that anything that happens in any event, you'll be liable if you do anything. I think that's one document that you can do at once. Any other IP-related question? The last one, Mary, over here.
Hi. Hello. My name is Eve. I work for Soko. So in a situation where you are a small company and you're going to partner with a big company, like let's say Coca-Cola, do their rules, like if they've done like any IP related rules, apply to you, or do yours apply to them? How do you make sure that your what you own is not taken over by the other company?
So generally, you would need to sort of have a negotiation about it. Like Coca-Cola, they're very specific about some of their marketing strategies. So you need to understand then what extent in that collaboration are you allowed to use maybe the brand Coca-Cola? To what extent can you incorporate maybe some of their ads to what you're doing? So it has to be something that you sort of negotiate, have it from the beginning, don't assume. The problem with assumptions is you are at the moment you're not party to some of their maybe franchising rules or IP basic rules, and then what could happen now, it could come back and bite you. So it's always important to have that conversation from the beginning. You envision what you're likely to do in that collaboration or partnership or in just that existence on your platform, and then have it in writing. So that also what happens is they won't come back and say, oh, by the way, we've decided to change our mind to do X, Y, and Z. Because guess what? You probably spent money to sort of do that work. So then they have to compensate based on that agreement. Yeah.
Okay, one of the house rules are phones on silent, not vibrate, not... Now, I want to know that person who's receiving messages. Are we in the group? Even as we want the information, please put your phones on silent. We'll come back to IP if there's any questions, so just process what she said. Let's talk to Lydia. Question number 1 is, how do I choose a tax practitioner to advise me? How do you go about choosing a tax person?
For starters, as I said, you can gauge the level of knowledge somebody has. You can ask basic questions in the sense that, how long have you been in the industry? Who are your clients? Who have you ever advised before? What taxes? What is your area of tax specialization? Just to find out how long they've been in the sector. Do they know what they are doing? You can even ask them, who in KRA do you know? Do you know the current Commissioner General? Yeah, such questions, so that at least you see, if somebody doesn't even know who's the current commissioner, that's not even a person then who knows what goes on at the Revenue Authority. Yeah.
Okay, our company wants to pay employees using a commission payment method. What does KRA need from me?
There's an important element that you have to separate between the two in terms of who is an employer and who is a consultant. An employer is a person who you've given an employment contract, you've given tools of trade, you govern in terms of when do they report to work, when do they leave, how do they do the work you've even given them. Because from an employee perspective, they have to abide by the rules. In terms of, you'll find that if they report to work at 10, leave at 4, they'll definitely get a warning letter. For consultants, you do not give them the tools of trade, you do not govern how they work, you do not dictate any other terms. The only thing, you'll just have a consultancy contract, and that is it. You'll not even give them a dedicated working station. For employee, they have a dedicated working station. Even if it's a place for rotation, they know they have to report to a certain floor. Yeah? Well, a consultant, they can come in today, tomorrow they don't come, but they'll tell you know what, don't worry, this work will be done based on the timelines we've agreed. What happens if you treat your employees as consultant? Fine, you'll treat them as consultant, then you only deduct the 5% because they are giving you consultancy services. But what happens since you've given them the tools of trade, you've given them a laptop, you've even taken medical cover for them, So what will happen is that at the end of it, when you're being audited, you'll be asked this question in terms of, tell me, how does this person operate? And when it is determined that indeed they are not consultant, they're employees, the difference of the 25%, you still have to bear that obligation.
Wow. So what does KRA need from someone who wants to do commission payment?
Commission meaning still the consultancy.
What do they need from you?
In terms for you to prove, you have to demonstrate that you are not in control of their time. You're not in control. First of all, have the basics, have a contract. And the contract will dictate how long is a project and how they're doing it. And then let them work from wherever they are. It's not that you're saying this is my consultant, yet they have a dedicated sitting space in your office. Don't give them a laptop. Don't take for them a medical cover. And then don't give them even a motor vehicle saying this is my consultant and they have a dedicated car within the company.
Can you pay their Uber?
You see, it depends. If you're paying, you see for a consultant, they will charge disbursements, right? So, and disbursements can be in two ways, where I'm the one who pays my own Uber, but then I can recharge. But you see also, for withholding tax, you have to withhold on the fee and the disbursements. So you have to also demonstrate that, you know, all these are collective fees for this person. Yeah.
Okay. How do I know the date that I'm supposed to file my returns for a sole proprietorship business?
That's a very wide question in terms of how do I know how I file the return. If it is just you're an individual and you're doing your business as you're below the threshold of, let's say, 5 million, you're just doing your normal similar business, what would happen if you've not taken a separate PIN for the business and you're just using your own individual PIN? What would happen for corporation tax for you as an individual? The return is due similar to other normal individual, which is? Yeah, these guys are experts. Yeah.
Okay, so there are different dates for different things.
There are different
on the
dates,
website.
yeah. They're on the website of the Revenue Authority, the beauty about that, yeah. And the good thing nowadays, on social media, I'm sure you've seen, if you're on Facebook, the Revenue Authority they keep on prompting. That time, when it was time for file the individual return, they kept prompting. They created even several stations to enable people file their return for those who do not know how to use iTax.
Okay. Is it possible to register a business as having no tax returns? So for example, a business that is aimed at empowering young people, I'm not in the business to make money, so why should I be taxed?
What happens?
Honesty.
In the income tax, there is a provision for exemption if you're a charitable organization and your business is to elevate poverty, to support education, all these noble acts. It's there. And what happens is that if you want to take advantage of that, and you know you're a charitable organization, you can apply for exemption. And the exemption will last for 5 years, and after 5 years, you have to apply again. And the thing is, you just have to demonstrate that you're not just an outfit saying, I am here supporting, eradicating poverty, creating education, but at the background, you're just minting money for your own use. You have to show that the money that I'm generating, I'm plowing it back to continue the service that I've been giving in terms of supporting education and supporting guys in poverty. Because if it is discovered you're just generating the money and paying yourself, then that is illegal. But if you've applied for that exemption, the exemption will last for 5 years and you have to reapply after 5 years. Why they've separated, in the past it used to be a lifetime exemption, but they discovered once guys get it, the first few years they start well, but along the way they miss the mark and they start eating the money. Yeah.
And buying nice cars.
Yeah.
What are the rules when it comes to registering a business that will be run from home rather than at a business premises? So guys who work from home,
So in terms of where you can run your business from, you can run it from everywhere, especially now that things have developed. You can do it online businesses, you can still do your business at home. It's okay, because now you're trying to reduce your cost, which is totally fine. You're still running your business. And what happens, as long as you've just indicated a place where in the event that they need to contact you, I'm sure when you're filing or you're registering, they ask for the address, yeah? So that's the address they will normally send any notification that they need. But in terms of where you can run your business from, it's okay if you're running your business from home.
Can I just clarify a little? Yeah. So sometimes it also depends on the nature of business that you're doing. So for example, if you make products in your home state, that is an entirely different scenario. If you're in the services industry, you should be okay. But if you probably do anything to do with consumer protection as well, especially in either edibles or things that, for human consumption, that becomes something totally different. You get a separate license for that. So you need to be aware of also what sort of constraints that would be involved, yeah? You don't want to be caught by city councils for doing some strange things, So it's depending on your business as well, assess and find out, can you run that business from your house? Yeah.
So if you're making product, you still need to get a license?
Yeah, that one definitely, because if you're found without a license, you're going to be in trouble.
Especially health.
If you're trying to even run a dry cleaning service from your house, you'll be in trouble. I once had a neighbor who was
not Adobe. See, Adobe, I can wash people's clothes. No?
You see, also someone was jealous somewhere. So then what happened is city council came and said, do you have your business permit? And they're like, and then you either find the money or they confiscate your machinery.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just something she's pointed out in terms of when somebody is jealous. From a revenue authority perspective, they are informants. and you fire somebody badly, saying that, no, you go, even I'm not paying you anything. KRA have this thing of paying in 4 months, and what they normally pay them is 3% of any tax collected from you. So it's business, eh? You fire me badly and I know your secrets, you've not even been filing your returns or declaring, and are declaring income, I'll catch you also.
Hey, me, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. If you know me, don't tell me what you're doing that's illegal. What happens when you didn't pay yourself in the first years of business? Can you claim it? And please explain. Can you claim? So I don't know.
From the question, sorry, I think the person is asking. Are you
claiming tax? What do you want to claim? Who asked? EBITDA? Yeah. What did you want? What are you claiming? What do you want to claim?
Let's say you've gone backwards and maybe you started off with business. You weren't paying yourself, and so now you're doing your tax returns. You're doing your tax returns and you haven't been paying yourself. Then you realize, oh, there's arrears to my, what I feel I deserve. Especially if you're going into discussions like on equity and stuff like that. Can you backtrack?
So what happens is that when you're starting out the first year, you didn't pay yourself. Have you closed your books or you're not yet closed? You've closed. So if you've closed, you cannot go the back years. Because you see what happens if it is a limited liability, any profits that after you've paid your taxes, you as the shareholder, you can be getting dividends. So that's how now you'll get your remuneration. But in the subsequent year, you can pay yourself, but you remember if you pay yourself, there's pay as you earn still at 30%. So you can determine that I should just be paying 30% instead of waiting for the year end. You pay corporation tax at 30%, and then for dividends, there's also additional 5%. So you see, it would even make sense if you would be still getting a bit of the salary. Yeah. Instead of waiting to the very end, you pay corporation tax, you didn't take any deduction for salaries, and then now to add on that, you pay another dividend, withholding tax on dividend when you're recouping your income.
I don't know if this is solid advice, but I was told even pay yourself as small as 5K, 10K, pay yourself something.
Yeah, so if you pay yourself for pay as you earn, the brackets start from, they were revised now, at least they're around 11,500 or 12,000. So you can be paying yourself those 12,000, at least you won't be paying any taxes. Yeah.
But at least get the habit. In a company,
just a bit also, I think this will also be covering it from another business perspective. If you find yourself, you've been working for this organization, it is your business, but you're not earning any income for a whole 12 months. The thing is, you'll find yourself, you're having more personal expenses in your business because that's where you're getting your money, in all honesty. So to separate, just pay yourself so that you can be able to separate your personal and your business, so that you don't use the business card to be paying your personal expenses.
Smiling. You have been helped? Okay. So just start from now. We can't correct past mistakes. In a company, for example, a school, do you pay income tax for employees or payee?
For employees, it is personal taxes, pay as you earn.
Okay. Have you been answered, my dear someone? You didn't write your name? Yeah? Okay. Hey, this handwriting. How can we take advantage of various export taxes since our business is based on export?
If you're in export business, this one will mainly come from a VAT perspective. If you're doing exports for allowed goods, not prohibited items, all the other things, prohibited items is like if you're dealing in hides, ivory, those things, they're like prohibited. But if it is normal business, when you're doing exports, you remember when we looked at VAT, there was the 16% when you're selling. If you're doing exports, it's going to be zero rated. That means you will not be charging VAT when you're exporting your goods. And the beauty about this, all the input tax, meaning all the VAT you've been charged by your suppliers for all the purchases you've made, you actually go to the next step of asking for a refund from the Revenue Authority, such that now you will be claiming VAT refunds because your business is in exports, so that now you end up in a nil position, but you get recoup money, you get money from the Revenue Authority.
Do they pay?
They do pay, although there was a backlog because of cash flow constraint, but they do pay. And the process is once you lodge you can do it on a monthly basis if the claim is a lot, but ideally you should lodge that claim within 12 months, from when the VAT return was filed. And they do pay.
Okay, I'll ask Mary, I'll ask the microphone to move. Let me ask one question, then we can have questions from the audience. Okay, I've read your handwriting. There's grace. I registered my company this year and also got a PIN and registered for VAT. It turns out the minimum requirement is to have an annual turnover of 5 million. I'm nowhere near that. So can I pull out from this tax obligation because it's too costly?
Yes, and this is what I was saying in terms of you go register and it is not your obligation because you've not yet don't even have a customer as yet, So what you go file for dormancy. Once you click that page for dormancy, you will not be required to be filing the monthly VAT returns because you cannot deregister. If you deregister, it means deregistering the entire PIN. So for that one, file for dormancy until you reach the threshold of 5 million.
And we are praying you will reach the threshold for 5 million. Amen.
Yes.
Okay, a question from the audience? Yep. The microphone is behind you.
Hi, it's a question on tax, and just with regards to the VAT for exportation of goods, does that also include exportation of services? So will you be able to claim back on that?
For export of service, there's been a lot of discussions, debate about it. Because you see, for goods, it's easy to prove. The goods actually left the country, and you have the C-17s to actually show they left the country. For services, the main thing for you to demonstrate is that the service you rendered were for consumption and use outside the country. And there are two interpretations for that. For Revenue Authority, the interpretation for that has always been for you to show that the consumption and use was actually done outside, the person receiving the service has to be outside Kenya, and they take it to the next level in terms of if you even performed the service outside Kenya, it's considered an export. You'll find a situation where sometimes if you're working with an international organization and they also have an organization here, but you contract with the international organization to render service for the local entity, that's not considered an export because they're saying the person who will use those services and consume them is the local entity. It's just that the other one is a contracting arrangement. So if you can demonstrate that most of the services you even go to, let's say Uganda, to give services to that person in Uganda, then it will also be an export of a service and it's going to be zero rated and you can claim your refunds.
Okay, well, the microphone moves and we wait for the next question. Is it illegal not to pay installment tax? i.e., can you just do a single payment at the end of the year? So are you not paying or are you paying once?
So for installments, there are 4 installments. What happens is if you miss and you're supposed to pay an installment, there's a penalty for it. But what happens is there are 2 ways. You can decide to also do the prior year where you do the 4 installments or do current year because most of the businesses, as I said, have been affected by election this year. Last year, the business went good. So even when you do your projection and you see you're paying the installment taxes based on prior year, you find that you end up paying more taxes. So what you can do, you can decide to go current year. And in current year, what you do in Q1, you do your financials, management accounts for that quarter and determine whether there are any taxes to be paid or not. If you find that you're in a loss position, you don't pay. If you go to the second quarter, you do a similar assessment. And what with current year, you have to be very sure that's how your business is going to be. In terms of the entire year, you have to make sure you monitor quarter by quarter. If you don't monitor and the whole year you find you haven't paid your installment taxes, there's penalty for that. And penalty is usually at 20% for underpaid tax.
And did you answer if you can pay it at once?
No, the only time you're allowed to pay it at once is the initial year of business, the first year of business.
Okay, any question from the audience?
Yes, my name is Joanne. I wanted to ask about if you have employees on fixed salary and on commission. It's regard to like the salon businesses. The hairdressers, beauticians, most of them are solely on commission. Like jasho yako ndio inakulipa. So this month you could get 50K commission Next month, if you work harder, it could be 80,000, thereabout. So, but there is also on fixed salaries. So, how do you handle the tax element on the commissionable stuff?
Okay. So for commissions, since this is your employee, it's just that you've split their salary in terms of there's the retainer, and if you do your business very well, generate more income, there's an additional commission, yeah?
There's no retainer.
There's no retainer.
On the stylist.
Wait, but did they get a basic salary every month?
No.
Oh, so it's a commission, pure commission
it's
based.
A commission-based pay. Like it's zero. So if you don't show up today, there is no commission.
So are they your employees? Do you have any documentation to show that they're your employees?
The ones that with contract and documentation are 3 people, like the salon administrator and the cleaners.
So
but the others are
walk-ins.
They have purposely chosen my salon to work from, so they do not have a designated station they work from. So they just show up, and tomorrow they may not show up, or they can show up at any time of the day and leave as and when they don't have appointments. They can run to go home, do home services behind your back. So, you know, it's a really dirty business of managing 20 people commissionable that are out of control. So
for those ones, what I'd say is, because the way you're describing them the way you can look at a consultant in terms of today they are in, tomorrow they are not in. So it's still important you give them a formal documentation, yeah? So that you remove them, the employees are on this side, and these other one are like consultants, and you give them a contract which stipulates in terms of how do they work, when do they work, in terms of what is the expectation from both sides. And if they do pass the test and they are consultants, for that one you just have to do withholding tax at 5%.
Okay. Is it an obligation? I would just want to make sure if it's right. Is it a must?
It is a must.
That
Tell me, what do you want?
It causes a lot of fire. So I'm maybe speaking for maybe 20,000 salon owners. So if I'm asking, most of them don't understand tax, PIN number, and why you should have a PIN number, and what deduction you're entitled to. That I understand as an employer. But now, the rebellion of now getting a 5% deduction on your commission, can I do it forcefully? Is it within the law, so that I'm within? I protect my business, because we are getting KRA walk-in visits, and so I'd like not to be in the shame list of not complying. Okay. So
okay,
yeah.
So for that one, number one thing, have a contract, and the contract should, you see, when they come in, you have a contract and you actually tell them, these are my terms in terms of, I will pay you a commission at this rate, but also no, there's this withholding tax at this rate. But the one thing you need to check for withholding tax, and it's a provision in terms of, if whatever you're paying them is less than 24,000 a month, you're not required to withhold. If it is above 24,000 a month, that's when you withhold. So it's something you can have in your contract. If they hit the target of 24 and above, you have to withhold. The thing is, if you do not withhold, it's into your revenue, because you have to pay that tax on their behalf.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Wait, and so if someone is like a stylist, and do they have to have a PIN for you?
So what happens for the stylist? Everybody, if you're earning an income, you're at least supposed to have a PIN, so that now you can have that dynamics of doing the withholding tax for commissions and everything. Because what happens, because everything now is being done via iTax, if you do not have a PIN, you cannot pay that tax that you're withholding on their behalf. And then also something else, if somebody's PIN is, there was that time there was uproar because so many points got deactivated, yeah? So if the PIN is also deactivated, there's nothing you can do. So it's always good to just ask them, do they have a PIN or not? But the one thing that we've seen in the sense that the Revenue Authority, they're not that many. So by the time they are coming, you must be making a lot of money. Not to say that those ones who are making small money, they shouldn't comply, but in the essence, always good to check, am I doing the right thing constantly? Because we are here to grow. We are not here to stay at the same level we are in. Yeah?
Amen.
So start right.
Amen. Amen. Okay.
I'll come for my offering. Yeah? Where's the offering basket?
We'll organize. Have you been answered, Joanne? Or you can also see her on the side for more questions. Unge volunteer kuongea juu ya timu yako, ungepata free consultation. Okay, so volunteer. What is the process of objecting and appearing before KRA, including the process and possibility of waiving tax penalties by KRA?
Okay, so I'll start in...
Dress nicely. One.
In terms of handling any dispute you have with the Revenue Authority, in the past when you'd know a Revenue Authority officer is coming to do for you an audit, you take them in a stuffy, dark room, you don't even give them tea. Do you think that person will even have mercy on you when it's their turn? So when they do come, they are normal human beings. Treat them well, give them some tea, and because you see, it will be easy when they find that you have an issue and you want it's more of a negotiation. So after you've given them tea, negotiated, they still give you a demand. In terms of the process, number one, you have to respond. When they give you a demand, you have to write an objection letter. And then after you've done the objection, then they will respond to you in terms of either telling you, yes, we've agreed, or no, we have not agreed. And then after they tell you, yeah, this thing, it's still sticking, then you have the option of going to the tribunal. When you go to the tribunal, you have to file your notice of appeal and then your memorandum of appeal for those two, so that the case can be heard at the tribunal. And the beauty nowadays, there's something they've started called arbitration, so that instead of us going through the entire long court process, you can request for arbitration when you've already filed your documents at the tribunal. So that now the file is set aside. Instead of going for a full hearing, you try and resolve using an arbitrator to see how the matter can be resolved. And from my experience, I've resolved at least many cases which, you know, there are certain cases, you know, if we go to court, this one I'm losing, yeah? But you're still fighting. But we find that when you go to arbitration, you see, for arbitration is not win-lose. It's at least we all go home with sort of a win-win situation. So that now you find that the disputes are resolved much faster. And if you do not resolve your issue at the tribunal level, you still have a chance to go to the High Court. Yeah.
Okay. When submitting withholding, I think you'd answered this, but just say it again. When submitting withholding, do you still deduct expenses? You had kind of mentioned it.
Yeah, so there is, for withholding tax, yes, you withhold on the fees and the disbursement for the person. Yeah, so because what we've seen is that many people forget the disbursements. Because let's say if a consultant is charging you, they'll tell you my fee is 100,000, and then they do 5% of the fees, that's my disbursement, yeah? So when you're withholding, you add the fees, the disbursement, then that's when you do the 5% deduction.
Okay. What earning bracket does tax begin for companies or businesses?
For companies, it's 30%. There is no graduation. The only time we have a graduated scale is for pay as you earn.
Sorry, earning bracket, I think. What's the earning bracket? What are you earning to face 30%?
For teeth.
Okay, Tasha, where are you? Tasha, I think she's left. Okay, yeah, so
for graduated rates, only for employee pay as you earn, but for corporates, it's standard. 30% for limited liability. If you're a branch, that's 7.5%.
And then if your earnings, if your turnover is if your turnover is $500,000 to $5 million, what's your turnover tax? Is it 3% of gross profits?
Yes, it's 3% of the gross profit.
Okay. And the final question, do we have another question for Liz or Lydia? Yes? Wait, no.
Mine is a follow-up to what you just asked.
Okay, before that, let her ask because you hadn't asked. Ask and then she'll respond.
Had you asked
She had asked, but she's following up my question. Oh, and you hadn't asked? Okay, those two questions, and then I'll ask the final question.
Hi, my name is Anastasia.
Hi.
I'm an accountant for small businesses.
Just put your
Oh,
microphone.
sorry. My name is Anastasia. I'm an accountant for small businesses. It's just a comment. When we talked about VAT and pulling out of it, I just wanted to add on it. When you apply for the dormants online, make sure you get it, because you might apply and then next month you don't file, and then it penalizes you because it wasn't approved from KRA. So when you apply, make sure it's already approved before you stop filing.
Thank you for that, Anastasia. Okay, since that was a comment, you better be a question with a question mark at the end.
Okay, I wanted to ask about if you're exporting services. Let's say, for example, you're like teaching a course online. So, and the people you're selling to people who are outside the country. Is that, can you be able to, what do you call it?
Should
be exempted
demonstrate
from that, yeah.
Yeah, as long as, because you see how what the definition for export of a service has been written, as long as you can show that it is for use and consumption outside Kenya, yeah. And the beauty about certain things, how to understand, if you find yourself in a dilemma and you need clarification, there's something that is provided for in the Act in terms of you can actually get a private ruling from the Revenue Authority to find out what is their position about your business. And the beauty about the private ruling, it binds the Revenue Authority in terms of that's the interpretation, but it doesn't bind you as a taxpayer because you are at liberty. We operate a self-assessment regime. You can do your business as you please as long as it is within the law.
Okay. Yeah, final question? The microphone is behind you.
Hi, my name is Laura and I'm a software consultant. So my question is regards to the withholding tax. So for some of my customers, when I give them the invoice, I'll put the withholding tax and they'll pay me and then less the withholding tax, which they do through KRA. But some are very stubborn. So they give me the full amount, they tell me, you just go sort it out. They give me including the 5% VAT. So I end up not having the withholding tax. So what happens at the end of the year when I'm doing now my full, annual returns and whatnot?
So for you who is the consultant in this scenario, for you, you're okay. Because it was not your obligation, it was the obligation. You're even kind in the sense that you've explained it in your invoice, yeah? So the problem lies with your customers. They're the ones who will be will have an issue because it was their obligation and they decided not to. So that now to maintain a good relationship, because what I found is that the minute they're audited, they'll come looking for you and tell you, no, this was supposed to be your obligation, you needed to have done this. Try and urge them, as much as they tell you, you take the entire money, just tell them, for your own good, withhold the amount. Because you see, at the end of it, you normally utilize the credit when you're filing your return, yeah? Yeah, so just urge them to comply also on their end.
Can you tell on them, then get the 3%, no?
So in the meantime, I eat the 5%. Eh?
So for now, you're good because it's not your problem, yeah.
Okay, follow-up question to my question?
My question has been answered.
Okay. Final question is, can we form a WhatsApp group?
Yes.
We're on Slack. The reason we're on Slack is, this is the problem with WhatsApp. We'll post, and then 300 posts later, someone will come and ask, when is the next event? The beauty with Slack is you can scroll through, you'll find we put links as often. People even ask questions and they're answered. So we find that, I know it's hard to take up a new technology, but Slack is very good for networking and for business. We won't start a WhatsApp group. We might consider Telegram, because you don't know who the other people are, but the reason we did Slack is so that you know each other. You can post and ask, I'm looking for someone who does taxes. Someone will respond. I'm looking for someone who is a lawyer. Someone will respond. That you can't get on WhatsApp, unfortunately. Yeah, so we'll send the Slack link to you. Please join. Please learn a new software. And then tell your clients about Slack. Then you look posh. Then you look like you know stuff. So ladies, thank you so much for coming. Thank you for sitting through. We know IP law and taxation are heavy. I know you're feeling heavy, then we gave you tea. I'm going to call Mary of Women in Business chapter at the Kenya. Okay, no, wait, just finish, it's okay. Usijali. Team, no M&Ms. Who are you sending over to tell us who you've networked with? Joanne, you want? Yes, you can. Thank you. Please give Liz and Lydia a round of applause for their time and their expertise.
It's because she's reminded me her sweet name. My name is Joanne. I didn't eat an M&M, myself and Chichi. I own a beauty business in Rwaka. We are a salon, the traditional salon, but we specialize on natural hair in that part of the county. I met Chichi today. She does networking, IT networking, which means if you have a network issue, your Zuku modem is acting up, or you have IP issues or conflicts, please talk to her. She can sort you out on that. Yeah. Even if it's at home, so she can do it for you. As for me, I'm really delighted to be always capable of coming to this platform and meeting entrepreneurs, business women who have experience in various areas. Today's topic, tax, really touched a bit on my business, but it's not because of non-compliance, it's just because of lack of understanding. And also, you know, it has been a traditional business, but nowadays, beauty businesses are diversifying in various revenue channels. So you have to always be in the right books. So thank you very much. I appreciate. I hope to talk to all of you. And then, on top of what I do, I have launched a hair extension service where we just hope naturalistas, those who do not put chemical, this type of hair, this hair that is called misbehaved, nappy, steel wire hair, nywele haieleweki, kwetu nywele zokuwa hivi, you know, that type of hair. So we have an Afro hair extension in two forms, which is the traditional weave, but also in a DIY friendly type, clip-in extensions where you can do it today and tomorrow you get it out and do a new style. Don't get bored, don't get stuck on a weave facing this way and this way, or your hair looking some way. So you can clip in, snap it in, and snap it out as and when you wish, wear different looks when you want. If the twist styles didn't obey, or the flat twist just disagreed with you on a certain day, you can just pop in the extension and move. Thank you.
Okay, let's give a round of applause to Liz Lenjo for coming to talk to us, Lydia Dirangu, everyone who stood here. It's not easy. There's a lady who told me, you want to learn how to get over stage fright, just hold a microphone and start talking, then you commit yourself to continuing talking. All right, I want to thank Mama Zaza's, Kokiko, Be Happy Honey, Nuts and Honey. Thank you so much for vending. Please go taste their foods, pick up a card, buy a product, support a local business run by a woman. And I'm going to invite Mary of the Kenya National Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Women in Business chapter, to tell us about what they do and their event that's coming up that you should attend.
Thank you, Amboi. I think this is one of the most amazing ladies I've met in my life. And she continues to amaze me every other day. Good morning, everyone. Is it morning or afternoon? Oh, good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon. My name is Mary Modoni. As you have been told, I chair the Women in Business in the country under the Kenya National Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Kenya Chamber is the apex body for the private sector. So if you're in the private sector, like she has been telling you, pay your taxes and all, then that is where you belong. And the mandate for the institution is trade development, SME development, county development, those who are tenderpreneurs, or what are they called these days? Huh? You want to trade with the counties, and especially with the policy of the 30% procurement, which is very dear to us, then that is your base. Women in business. Why women in business? We want to create a hub for entrepreneurship across the country, across the divide, amongst the women. When I see a room, it's full, women, I'm happy because the percentages will keep going up. When I think of the 15 million SMEs that we have in the country, and we look at the percentage of that 15 million, how many are women? We could get probably 50 to 70% of that are women. But none of those women, or hardly do you find those women moving from that big stomach to the corporate level. Why? We lack the skills, we lack the know-how, we lack the push. There are so many other challenges. I've seen KWFT. We also lack finances to even move to the next level. So we want to create a hub for entrepreneurship, a platform where women can grow. And every other day we can be counting. Yes, she was here yesterday, and today she is at 8. She was at 4, now she is at 8. We want to create more Keroches, more Jinadins in communication, more women in even sectors that are hardly looked at. This is iHub, but I can tell you, I do not know how many women are in IT. Yes, they are there, but at the bottom of the pyramid. We don't have them at the top. This is an institution, it's a company, co-owned, probably. I want to talk about Wamboi owning iHub. In the near future, we want to talk about, hey, are you not happy about that? So that really is the essence. And at the end of the day, you'll find that numbers work. It's the trading amongst yourself that can also grow your business. You don't need to go to Somalia. You have your clients here in this room, but you need to know how to do the network, to get the credible networks, to ensure that your business is growing. And with that, we've had a lot of hula baloo the whole of this year, elections. And you can see what we have gotten. Low money circulation, weaker bargaining power. Those who are in cargo and clearing and forwarding, you realize that we don't even have goods coming through. The customs is suffering. And with that, you'll find even where we are, even if you're a mamamboga or anybody at the bottom of the pyramid, when there's low money circulation in the country, it does not trickle down to you. So we are suffering from the top to the bottom. But we said, hey, we still have women who have struggled throughout the year. And I think we need to identify these few women and recognize them so that they could even give us the secrets of what they did to ensure that their businesses are still running. And we came up with an action plan, awarding them at the end of the year. On the 29th of this year, we are going to have the inaugural and the one and only, and the first of its kind in this country, Women in Business Awards. I have not had that in this country. We have had the 40 under 40 through nation, but that is for any woman. We are talking about women in business. Because if we do not talk about ourselves, sorry, in entrepreneurship, women, it's about impact, it's about sustainability, it's about visibility. When you don't shout what you're doing, don't expect these men to do it. Sorry. you will hustle alone. So we have to do it ourselves, right, ladies? And that is what we are doing. We got to get the visibility moving for the women. And it starts with me and you. Thank you so much, Wambui, for inviting me.
Thank you, Mary. Unaniuzia simu. Shika. But it's damn. So I'm going to hand over back to Nekesa. Thank you so much for sitting on this cold day. I hope you've enjoyed. I hope you've met someone you didn't know before. Please keep those contacts going. Send each other an email. Follow up with each other. It's good sometimes in business. Some days get hard, and I know. But it would be good to just receive an email and say, by the way, how are you doing? How is business? You want to meet for tea? And not talk about business, let's talk about everything else. Those conversations lift you up. And so make sure you lift another woman in business, and let's meet. Early December, we'll send details on Slack, not WhatsApp. So I'll hand over to Mary. Thank you so much, and have a lovely day.
Wambui, thank you so much. In the beginning, you talked about Wambui has taken over this session. Now you're even taking over the iHub. What will we do? It's all right. Will I keep my job? It depends. Will I keep my job? Yes. Okay, fine. So remember how at the beginning I was talking about multitasking, and I said maybe as women we need to begin to refocus and figure out what our thing is. So I need to apologize. After that big speech, I started multitasking. I kept being called out to meetings. So that is why I kept running in and out. I'm truly sorry about that. But Mary and Wambui ran the session well, so I'm sure you didn't miss me. Wambui introduced Mary, kind of introduced Mary a little. This one. But I mean, I want to introduce Mary again. You guys saw the pitch, the elevator pitches that we did with the 4 ladies. Was it four ladies? So Mary coached them. That was Mary. That was all Mary. Mary. I mean, there was a clear difference between the previous times we've been doing the pitches and today. That was because Mary took her time and coached them. So Mary, thank you so much for that. So when Wambui was introducing Mary, she spoke about this WhatsApp group that a bunch of us are on and how it's kind of brought life to this event. So yes, there's myself, there's Wambui, there's Maureen, who a lot of you have met. She emceed and moderated the last session. There's Mary, and there's 2 other ladies who I hope you'll get to meet before the series ends. So Mary is a PR branding professional. I mean, she's this tiny mother of 3. I mean, you know, you see her and you don't even think she does all these huge things. She's a mother of 3 boys, PR and branding executive, runs her own outfit. And I mean, just following tradition, telling you what all these ladies bring to my life. So Mary she's our center. You know that those bracelets, what would Jesus do? So for us, it's what would Mary do? She's that person who either ticks or marks X on our plans and our things and our thoughts. She keeps us centered. She calls us out. She tells us truths. You know, when you deviate, you know, when you're just totally messed up about what's going on and you say, you know what, to hell with my job, to hell with my husband, even to hell with whomever it is. It's Mary who says, no, wait and think about it, and let's do this instead. Yeah, and the reason I came back to introducing Mary again is not because Wambui didn't do a good job, she did, but I just want to go back to what I'd spoken about, I think our very first series, which is the power of networks. And to backtrack a bit, receive this information coming from Nekesa, who, growing up, I have 2 brothers, 2 sisters. I spent my childhood fighting with my sisters and bonding with my brothers because I didn't know how to relate to other females. A lot of my career has been based off work that I did with rugby, which is predominantly male. Yeah, and so I've been surrounded by men. A lot of my role models have been men. You know, a lot of the steps I've taken in my professional career and even personal career have been influenced by men, positively and negatively. So with that background, now listen to me telling you that this network, this WhatsApp group that I'm on, where we discuss rubbish and also discuss business, is life. Yeah? So what I'm saying is, you can't underestimate the power of surrounding yourself with women who truly matter, both in your personal life and in your professional life. I think the trick is to knowing where one begins and where one ends. And one of the things we've done within this WhatsApp group is, so we have the social nature of it, which happens on this primary WhatsApp group, but when we're going into business, we start another one. And now it's a totally different conversation because you have to respect each other's time, you have to respect what each other brings to the table. And so I know one of the problems, both for men and for women, when you're getting into business, you want to shy away from getting into business with friends, sometimes even family, because of those different dynamics. And how do last night we're out drinking and dancing together. Today, surely we will talk about business and money and so on. Sometimes it feels a bit gray. But sometimes it's worth it. And I found that it's worth it, at least with this group, where we're able to switch off one aspect of our lives and switch on another aspect. So as we draw towards the end of this series, and I hope that now the ideas that you want to run with, you're beginning to generate and define what those are. And it's really timely that we're soon going into a conversation around people planning, your strategy and so on. I really want to urge you to look around your immediate networks and find people that complement what you do and that you can relate with and who lift you up personally and professionally, which is what this group has done for me, which is why I'm happy to walk out during a session knowing that they're going to run it, regardless of whether or not I'm in. So yeah, that's what I wanted to say in closing. I really hope that a lot of you can make it back to the session in December. Thank you so much for coming to this one. Please keep talking on our Slack channel. If you're not on the Slack channel, so everyone here registered for the event, right? Yeah. So if you did, that means I have your email address. So within the hour, I will send you a link to the Slack channel. So what it is, you get the link, you click on it and just follow the prompts to enter the Slack channel. The reason we're insisting on this Slack channel is even when this series ends, this is a place where we can continue to have these conversations. It's a place where you continue to meet the people you've met in this room, both participants and speakers. And in the event that we get funding to continue this series in 2018, that is where we will announce it. And if you have products that you need to sell, that is where you sell them. So I really urge everyone to get into the Slack group and engage in that forum. So thank you so much to our speakers, Liz and Lydia. I really hope this is the beginning of a partnership with the iHub and with the individuals in this room, figuring out a mutually beneficial relationship and so on. All those fancy terms we use in the corporate world. And on that note, thank you so much for coming. Remember to go around the different displays and buy some stuff from your fellow participants. If you need more information around iHub membership, which I spoke about at the beginning, please feel free to pull me aside and we can have that conversation, or tweet me at Nekesa, or email me, nekesa@ihub.co.ke. Asanteni sana.